Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for another episode of Basics of Plunder Patrol. In this episode, I'm going to talk about what other engines you can play alongside your Plunder Patrol package. So the traditional Plunder Patrol package is about 20 cards in the main deck, which leaves you 20 slots for whatever you need for going second cards, for side engines, and so forth. So I'm going to talk about your options. They're pretty much personal preference. There are pros and cons to each and how they interact with the deck and how they kind of benefit your main Plunder Patrol engine. So I'm going to talk about each of them and give you the pros and cons, and you can decide for yourself what to do. So here I have laid out 8 options, and then there's a 9th option as well that I don't actually own, which is the Runick package. So I'm going to talk about all 9 options of things that you can play with your main deck Plunder stuff, and you can do multiple of these. Like I said, your main Plunder package is about 20 cards, so you can pick any combination of these side packages to fill out that remaining 20. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm going to go from the most traditional to kind of the niche stuff. And for most traditional, we're going to go ahead and start with Adventure. Okay, if we think about what engine we want to pair with our deck, we want to think, what does our deck inherently do and what does it benefit from? And then what other engine will help us deal with that? So the Plunder Patrol deck, it discards for cost a lot. We have Shipyard as discard. We have Bluebeard. When it goes to grave, you can discard 1 to draw 1. We have Golden Hair. When it's in grave, you can discard 1 to summon Golden Hair. So we have a lot of discarding of generic cards, not just Plunder cards, but generic cards in the deck. So we want to think of what engine will benefit from a generic discard. Also, Plunder obviously benefits from our opponent having different attributes, so we want to think about that. What kind of side engine might give our opponent different attributes to use, and so forth. Also, there's also some like niche situations that come up during traditional Plunder Patrol plays that we can take advantage of. For example, giving our opponent a token. So how can we take advantage of that to the maximum of our ability? And that will really dictate what side engine we want to decide to play. So the most common side engine we see played in Plunder is going to be Adventure. Now, why is Adventure a good fit? Well, first of all, the restriction of Right of Aramizir that says you cannot activate any effects of normal summon monsters. There's no monster you can normal summon and use in the effect of. So there's no conflict with Right. Second, we have a lot of discards, as we talked about, which helps with Water Enchantress, which can replace itself as a discard. So a very nice opening is when you have Shipyard plus Water Enchantress. You can use Shipyard, discard Water Enchantress to search, and then Water Enchantress will get you the rest of your adventure package. And pretty much you have a free discard cost for Shipyard or for Bluebeard, or later on for Golden Hair. Granted, if you use for Golden Hair, you can't summon the adventure token because Golden Hair locks you into Plunder stuff, but still, you can discard and get advantage later. Lastly, Plunder it doesn't really have any spell and trap negation, so having the Griffin Rider as part of your end board is a big benefit for, just picking up where the Plunder engine itself is lacking. So yeah, for those reasons, Adventure is a very nice package. It does not conflict at all. It kind of synergizes a lot, and it picks up the slack where Plunder is lacking, and that's why Adventure is probably the most commonly played side package with Plunder Patrol. The next package I'm going to talk about, I think, is probably the second most common package, but I don't have anything here, is the Runick package. So Runick Plunder is a bit different than your traditional Plunder list. We're playing kind of fewer Plunder monsters, only 1 Shipyard, for example, where it synergizes pretty much because with all of our discards, we can discard the Runick spells and then draw them back later. We have Blackbeard to draw on our opponent's turn, and as we know, all successful Runick builds draw on your opponent's turn to dig for those Runick spells. So and then the Runick's drawing also digs for ammo for your ship. So it's just a draw frenzy, and it kind of just benefits from that. You're pretty much just going to end on Blackbeard because you're going to summon the Runick fusion monster and then summon any of your plunder names to link off for Blackbeard while getting into your Runick stuff. It's interesting. I've not tried it myself. As far as I'm aware, it is good, but I just don't have any Runick things at this time, so I can't really speak much more than that. Other than it's something to consider if you want kind of a more fast-paced, or like a more drawing but more control style of deck. The next engine I want to talk about, probably the third most popular engine that we're going to see alongside Plunder, is Kaiju. Okay, so of course Plunder gets benefit from our opponent having different attributes, so what's better than just giving your opponent a Kaiju with whatever attribute you want. I don't have every example here, but we have light Kaijus, we have dark Kaijus, there's also Dogoran, the fire Kaiju, there's Gameciel for water, and there is Kumongous for earth. So we have our 5 ships in Bran, Mowerk, Liss, and Jord, and well, I guess, and Blackbeard. Not a ship, but you know what I mean. We can give our opponent whatever attribute we want to get into any extra deck monster we want using Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. So, or if we just hard draw the attribute Kaiju we want, that's good too. But anyway, this is a very nice synergy to kind of facilitate whatever play we want. Also, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is a nice discard target for going first because you can discard Slumber, and then on the following turn you can banish it to search a Kaiju for later. So even if you're going first and you're playing the Kaiju package, you can use it as discard fodder to search a Kaiju next turn. So there's a lot of synergy here as well, and if in formats where Kaijus are really good, this might be the build to go with for Plunder. Next, I'm going to get into some more generic stuff. So those are the 3 main, I'd say, packages, like full, large packages. I'd say 7 cards plus. Of course, well, Kaiju package is probably about 7 cards. The Adventure package is 8 cards, and then Runick is going to be of many more cards, probably 20 plus. So it's more of a Runick deck with Plunder cards rather than what I'm trying to talk about here, which is Plunder deck with other stuff. And also for Kaijus, I want to point out that Santa Claus is a very nice option. In this case, we can use Santa Claus to give our opponent a light monster, and then use Blackbeard to go into Liss. And then if our opponent decides to try to use Santa Claus effect in the end phase to draw one, we can negate it with Liss and search any Plunder card we want. So just a nice synergy, and you know, our opponent is not going to get the Santa Claus benefit. Plus, since we're summoning it in defense mode, we can hard make a Mowerk and go into Zeus as well if we want to do that package in our extra deck. So just something to keep in mind since we're talking about Kaijus and other like tributing our opponent's stuff. We do have Santa Claus as a nice synergy in the Plunder Patrol deck. Now let's just talk about kind of generic stuff. First of all, just hand traps. Hand trap is a very nice side package. These are kind of just generic ones I have laying around, but because Blackbeard is drawing us cards on our opponent's turn, it'd be really nice to draw into a hand trap as another interruption. So just having a large hand trap package within those 20 empty slots for going second cards is going to be a really nice synergy for Plunder. Plus, all of our combos are like 2 card combos or so. So if we have a high hand trap ratio, we're going to be okay. So that's pretty good. Other packages we can use are dangers. So because we discard for cost a lot, like with the field spell, with Bluebeard, and with Golden Hair, we can use dangers as a way to kind of just extend, dig a little bit deeper into our deck, and still like replace our discard costs. So it's just an option because of the RNG of using danger effects themselves. For example, you know, using Nessie effect, you might not want to discard your last Plunder name, for example, because we want to have a specific hand where we have ammo remaining for our ships, and it's a bit risky to discard our last piece of ammo. That's why Danger isn't very popular in Plunder, but it's just an option if you want to play something with a lot of gas and summon a lot of big bodies. You can play like Danger Bigfoot, where you can just go field spell, discard Bigfoot, and pop a card, so it's kind of good for going second if you're doing that. just something to keep in mind as an option. The next package of large monsters is Bystials. So Bystials is really nice, and it's my personal favorite for the side deck right now, because it allows you to go into level 10 synchro plays. So if you can summon a Bystial, if you're going second, if you can summon a Bystial on your opponent's turn and start off your turn with normal summon a level 4 tuner and sync into Barone, you are flying high, you're doing really well. And the advantage that Magnemite gets you by replacing itself, using discard cost, having Druid Swarm to clear boards, Baldrake is really nice. You can get rid of a Moark that you've already used for Baldrake's effect, for example. Just a lot of synergy there. And if you want to go into a large Bystial package with like Branded Regained, you might get Branded Regained effect off of a Moark effect, where, you know, Regained will trigger on any light or dark being banished. So if you use Moark to banish a light or dark, you're going to trigger your Regain. So just something to keep in mind. There's a lot of potential synergy with the Bystials in the Plunder Patrol deck. Along with other meta stuff, Kashtira. So Kashtira Fenrir is a solid kind of just set of 2 or 3 cards you can play in your Plunder Patrol deck. And the reason it's nice is that if you're starting off, you can summon Fenrir, search the other Fenrir, and now you have a free card to discard for your field spell, for your Bluebeard, for your Golden Hair, and so forth. So, and then it also kind of helps clear boards before you commit a lot. That's a little bit of a problem that Plunder has, is you have to commit a few resources to attempt to clear a board, where Fenrir kind of solves that. You can just summon Fenrir, try to clear a floodgate, for example, and then proceed with your Plunder Patrol plays, link off the Fenrir for Blackbeard, use the other Fenrir for a discard, and whatever. Okay, and then we have trap cards. So trap cards are another option we can play, and the most notable one is Rivalry of Warlords. Why Rivalry? Well, because all of our stuff is Fiends. All of the Plunder cards are Fiends. Even the ships, even the extra deck monsters, the main deck monsters, Fiends across the board, different attributes, so Gozen's not so good. But in our main combo, when we're summoning Jord and then summoning a token to both players' fields, our opponent will be locked into Fiends if we flip Rivalry here. So Rivalry really goes nicely with Jord, with summoning our token to our opponent's field, and can just kind of win games like that. So personally, I would recommend Rivalry in the side. Unless you can main it, I suppose. Rivalry is not so bad going second. It can clear a board if our opponent is not ready with a negate or a spell trap removal in response. So yeah, those are the trap cards, and then just generic options for cards you can play to tech ins. Because our deck discards a lot for cost, we can play a lot of good discards just to have in our hand to synergize with those. What I have in mind are Keldo and Medora. So if you remember these, they are very good against a lot of decks, and shuffling back is a very strong mechanic, especially shuffling back 3. So if we just play Keldo and Medora and just hope see if we draw one, and then use it as discard cost for the field spell, then we just kind of have an extra interruption off of our field spell discard cost. So that's really nice. And then another more aggressive option is Zephyros. So I played Zephyros for a long time in Plunder. It's one of my favorite techs. But I love opening Zephyros with Shipyard, because we can go Shipyard, discard Zephyros to search Whitebeard. And then we can go Zephyros, return the Shipyard to summon itself. And now we can go into Dragite, we can go into Jord here, we can go into whatever we need to, and then activate the field spell when we're all done. So it's just an extender off of the Shipyard discard cost. It's not really much more than that, but it's kind of an interesting tech to think about. And then also, if you want to save the return effect later, you can return something that's equipped to your hand if you want a different monster or so forth. So yeah, just something to think about. We can play cards that just straight up benefit off being discarded. And yeah, and that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Just a lot of deck ideas to roll with. If you check out my current Plunder Patrol deck profile that's out now, I am running the Adventure package in my deck, and then I'm running the Bystials in the side deck. So I am on 2 of these, and then of course I'm playing Hand Traps in the main as well. So I'm on Adventure and Hand Traps, and then I swap it out for Bystials close side if the Bastilles are going to be good. So yeah, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. What do you like to play in your Plunder Patrol decks? Do you have any awesome techs that can be really fun for people to try out? Please leave it in the comments below, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. We'll see you later.